My name is Elena Brooks. I am 34 years old. I live alone in a narrow apartment on the third floor of an old building where the hallway lights flicker at night and the elevator never works properly. I work as a senior nurse at one of the busiest hospitals in the city. The hospital is loud, crowded, and exhausting, but it gives my life meaning. I am good at my job. My patients trust me with their pain. The doctors rely on my judgment. When I walk through the hospital corridors in my blue uniform, I feel strong, needed, and alive. But every evening, when I unlock the door to my quiet apartment and the silence greets me, that strength slowly fades. The walls feel too close. The air feels heavy. I often sit on my sofa staring at nothing, wondering why a life that looks so full during the day feels so empty at night. One cold evening after a long 12-hour shift, I was walking home from the hospital. The street lights were glowing softly and my mind was still filled with patient charts and medical alarms. Suddenly I felt a sharp push from behind. A car bumped into me, not fast, but enough to knock me off balance. I fell to the ground, my heart racing, my hands trembling. For a moment, everything went silent. Then a car door opened quickly. A man rushed toward me. He was tall, wearing a dark coat and formal trousers, his hair neatly styled. His face was pale with fear. He knelt beside me and held my hand firmly, as if grounding both of us. "Are you hurt?" he asked urgently. "Please tell me you're okay." I checked myself quickly. My knees stung, but nothing felt broken. "I'm fine," I said, trying to calm him. "Just shaken." He helped me stand up gently, apologizing again and again. His voice was warm, sincere, not rushed like most people in the city. He insisted that I sit in his car so he could take me home. At first, I refused. I didn't trust easily, especially not after dark, but he kept insisting, concern written all over his face. Tired and overwhelmed, I finally agreed. Inside the car, the heater hummed softly. He drove carefully, asking if I felt dizzy or in pain. When we reached my building, I thanked him politely and stepped out. He smiled at me, a quiet, comforting smile that stayed with me long after he drove away. That night, lying in bed, I couldn't stop thinking about him. I scolded myself. He was just a stranger who did the right thing. Nothing more. Still, my heart disagreed. A few days later, during a busy morning shift, I was called to assist with a patient in the emergency ward. When I pulled back the curtain, my breath caught. It was him. The same man. He was sitting on the bed with a bandage soaked in blood resting on his forehead. When he saw me, his eyes lit up with recognition. "Looks like we meet again," he said with a small laugh. I cleaned the wound carefully and wrapped his head with fresh gauze. "What happened this time?" I asked, trying to sound professional. "Did you hit someone else with your car?" He laughed openly. "No," he said. "I slipped on the stairs at home. I promise I wasn't causing trouble." We talked easily, as if we had known each other longer than a few minutes. His name was Daniel Wright, and he was 39 years old. He worked in corporate finance, always busy, always stressed. Before leaving, he asked about my shifts, my routine, my walk home. When my shift ended that evening, I found him waiting near the hospital entrance, leaning against his car. "Let me take you home," he said. I hesitated, but something in his eyes made me feel safe, That evening turned into many evenings. Our car rides became longer, conversations grew deeper, laughter filled the quiet spaces inside me. Slowly, without realizing when or how, I fell in love. Daniel became a part of my life. He stayed over often. My apartment no longer felt empty. The silence disappeared, replaced by shared dinners, late-night talks, and the warmth of another presence. For the first time in years, I felt chosen. But happiness, I learned, can be fragile. One morning, while buying groceries, I passed a bakery and froze. Through the glass window, I saw Daniel. He was standing beside a woman, his arm comfortably around her shoulder. A young boy, maybe 9 years old, stood between them, laughing. They looked like a perfect family. My chest tightened. My vision blurred. I didn't wait. I ran home, tears spilling freely. That evening, Daniel came as usual. I opened the door before he could knock twice. My voice shook with anger and pain. "How could you lie to me?" I shouted. "You have a family, a wife, a child." He looked startled, then strangely calm. "Elena," he said, "I care about you. My wife doesn't need to know." Something inside me shattered completely. "Get out!" I screamed. "I will not be someone's secret." I slammed the door. He never came back. Days passed, then weeks. He disappeared from my life as suddenly as he had entered it, leaving behind only memories and wounds. Months later, a new doctor joined the hospital. His name was Lucas Miller, 36 years old, confident and calm. Nurses whispered about him, admired him, chased his attention. I didn't care. My heart was closed. One morning, lost in thought while walking to work, a car bumped into me again. I fell, scraping my knee this time. I looked up angrily, ready to shout, but froze. It was Lucas. He rushed to me immediately, apologizing, checking my injury. Memories flooded back and fear turned into anger. "Don't," I snapped. "Don't offer me a ride. Don't pretend to care." I stood up and walked away, ignoring his confused expression. A week later, Lucas approached me in the hospital hallway. He apologized again for the accident, his sincerity undeniable. Before he could say more, he tripped over a trolley and fell hard on the floor. I laughed unexpectedly, loudly. That moment broke the wall between us. From then on, we talked. We shared stories, jokes, quiet lunches. Lucas was kind, patient, and honest. Slowly, I allowed myself to feel again. One evening, he told me he loved me. Fear rushed through me. "Promise me you won't leave," I whispered. He promised. We moved in together. Life felt peaceful, safe. Then one morning, I felt dizzy. A test confirmed it. I was pregnant. My hands shook as I messaged Lucas. His reply came instantly, full of joy and love, but the next day he didn't come to work. Then the next. Then weeks passed. My heart sank deeper each day, fear growing louder. And then, one afternoon, at the market, I saw him laughing with a woman. My past repeated itself, and my world collapsed again. I stood frozen in the middle of the market, the noise around me fading into a dull hum. People walked past carrying bags of vegetables and bread. Children laughed, shopkeepers shouted prices, but I heard none of it. All I could see was Lucas, standing only a few steps away, smiling freely, laughing as if nothing had ever broken inside him. The woman beside him leaned close, her hand resting on his arm in a way that felt painfully familiar. My chest tightened, my throat burned, and my hands began to shake. The same story. The same betrayal. A bitter laugh escaped my lips as tears filled my eyes. Without thinking, I turned and ran. I didn't want him to see me. I didn't want to hear another excuse, another lie wrapped in kindness. I ran all the way home, locked the door behind me, slid down to the floor, and cried until my body ached. That night, sleep never came. My mind replayed every moment I had shared with him. His promises, his smile, the way he looked at me when he thought I wasn't watching. I felt foolish for believing again. By morning, my body felt weak, my heart heavier than ever. I stopped going to the hospital. The place that once gave me strength now reminded me of loss. Days passed slowly, each one blending into the next. I barely ate. I barely spoke. I touched my stomach often, whispering apologies to the life growing inside me, promising that even if I was alone, I would be strong. One afternoon, as grey clouds gathered outside my window, the doorbell rang. I ignored it at first, thinking it was a mistake. Then it rang again. Something in my chest tightened. Slowly I opened the door. Lucas stood there. He looked thinner, pale, his eyes tired and red. Before he could speak, anger exploded inside me. I slapped him. Once. Twice. My hands moved faster than my thoughts. "How dare you?" I screamed. "You promised me. You left me when I needed you the most." He didn't stop me. He didn't defend himself. He simply stood there, letting the storm pass through me. When my hands finally dropped, he spoke softly through tears. He told me everything. About his sister Emma, his only family, living alone in another city. About rushing to bring her back after hearing my news. About the terrible accident that crushed his car, destroyed his phone, and put him in the hospital for weeks. About waking up every day trying to remember my number and failing. About fighting his way back as soon as he could walk again. The woman I saw at the market, he explained, was Emma. He had taken her out for fresh air, trying to help her heal while he healed too. His voice broke as he spoke. "I never left you," he said. "I was trying to come back." My anger melted into guilt, then sorrow. I opened the door fully and pulled him into my arms. I cried against his chest, apologizing again and again. He held me gently, as if afraid I might disappear. Inside the apartment, a woman stood up from the sofa. Emma looked at us with worried eyes, then smiled warmly when she saw us together. She welcomed me like family. When she noticed Lucas's red cheeks, she asked what happened. He smiled weakly and said, "Elena just kissed me too hard." Laughter filled the room, washing away weeks of pain. Life slowly found its balance again. Lucas never left my side after that. He attended every doctor's appointment with me, held my hand through every fear, every doubt. Emma stayed with us for a while, filling the apartment with warmth and laughter. When our baby was born, I felt a love deeper than anything I had ever known. Weeks later, Lucas and I married quietly, surrounded by those who truly mattered. Looking back, I understood that love is not about perfection, but honesty, patience, and courage. My heart, once broken, had learned to trust again. and this time it was real. Some stories break us, some stories heal us. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more emotional stories.